Coming up next on Boston Rock Talk, Kevin Devine. We talk with the Brooklyn-based singer-songwriter about making music from folk to rock and writing lyrics about things that matter. Welcome to Boston Rock Talk, a live music and interview show we do here in Boston. Today we're here in Cambridge at the Sinclair, and our guest is Kevin Devine joining me here. Kevin?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to have you here. You're dressed for the weather?
Appropriately, yeah.
I'm dressed for the weather. You suffered through a marvelous cab ride to get here.
Yeah, well, I got to spend about an hour more on Boston College's campus than I intended to.
Are you going to go? Or, you graduated, you went to college,
I
didn't
did.
you?
Yeah, I did. I'm not sure if I'm going to ever do postgraduate work, but now I feel like I've got a deeper understanding of their campus if I ever want to do.
Well, let's see how the music career pans out.
Yeah, it's definitely up in the air.
Well, you were a journalism major, were you not?
I was, yeah.
There's no future now. You don't want to go.
My brother is actually a sports writer for Yahoo.
Oh, really?
And he's carried the journalism flag for the family more ably than I would have. So
you carry the music flag for the family.
Trying to.
You started doing this professionally, what, 2002 maybe?
I guess I've been. Someone's handed me money to play music since like 1994, but I always had other jobs and was a student and working but this has been my only profession since 2005.
Which it's a good thing to be able to say that.
Yeah, I feel like that. It's definitely, it's been scratching and clawing, and you can kind of I feel like I've been able to make it my own thing. So
now you have collaborated with a number of people over the years. You want to list off some of your various?
Sure. I think that the people I'm most immediately identified with. There's a band called Brand New from Long Island. There's a singer for that band's a guy named Jesse Lacey. There's a band called Manchester Orchestra from Atlanta. The singer from that band's called Andy Hull. We actually we have a band together, Andy and I, called Bad Books, and we played here at the Sinclair in, I want to say, February of 2013. But those two bands, Brand New and Manchester and myself, I feel like we've kind of, America, Australia, Canada, England, Europe, we've kind of gone all over the place together. Some variant of those three bands always seems to be doing something together.
You have a goddamn band, too.
Yeah, that's my, sort of backing collective. Sort of anytime I'm performing on a stage not alone under the name Kevin Devine.
Yeah.
It's with the goddamn band. And there's been probably 20 people in the goddamn band over the course of 12 years. So
are they proud to be goddamn band
members? I think some
then?
probably more proud than others. I always kind of felt bad saddling them with that name. It was sort of a joke that came out of I was listening to a lot of country music. And I come from punk music a little too, and I thought, it's kind of funny to have it be like this guy and his goddamn band.
Right.
And funny or not, it's stuck for 12 years, and so now that's...
It's your label.
That's the thing.
I had a friend who was in a country rock band called the Goddamn Nixons.
Wow.
Good name, huh?
Yeah, that's actually... that sounds more punk rock than country.
He's kind of retired. Maybe you could borrow it. I'll talk to him.
Give him a call. I can't pay him anything, but let him know.
No.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask about is, given the collaborative nature of what you do, and now today you're doing, this is, I think, the second date of a solo tour.
Third date of a solo tour. Yeah.
What makes you want to do one versus the other?
Well, sometimes it's as sort of simple and unsexy as circumstance. Sometimes it's like this was a tour with Evan Weiss from a band called Into It Over It. That's his project, and Laura Stevenson. The three of us do this, and also the three of us sometimes play more dressed up with kind of rock treatments of our songs. But for this, it was as simple as we wanted to present the songs this way and wanted to have a sort of simple, tight, a show that travels easy. But for me, from a writing perspective, there's stuff that I love, things like Nirvana and the Pixies and REM and bands that could do both. Bands that were kind of had gentle moments, but also frenetic, noisy. and I grew up with Dylan, and Dylan obviously had both. Neil Young had both. And you know, Elliott Smith was a big performer for me, and he was so good at the gentle thing, but also had this really wonderful ear for arrangement. So I feel like I write them this way, but when I'm writing them, I can hear, oh, this one's gonna have drums, and this one's gonna have a distorted guitar, and this one's gonna, some records like this one will have a violin, or this one will have glockenspiel and piano. But the challenge to me is always to make it as compelling this way as it is, whether there's 10 people on stage with me or alone.
That's sort of, I think, the standard most songwriters have. It's got to work acoustically first.
Yeah, I think so.
And then the ornamentation can come and all of that.
And hopefully it can kind of be as compelling in two different directions. And some songs you get there and some songs you don't. But.
Right. Well, you released different versions of the same song, right?
Yeah.
Haven't you done, I mean, what are some of the ones you've done?
Well, we did a song called She Can See Me for these last two records, Bubblegum and Bulldozer. And when I wrote it, I thought there's a band from Scotland called the Vaselines.
I love the Vaselines.
And I thought it sort of sounded to me like the Vaselines, if you split it, if you go soft with them, they kind of sound like Belle and Sebastian. And if you go hard with them, they sound like Nirvana.
Right.
Or Nirvana, you could hear it in there.
Yeah.
And so this one song I wrote, and it sort of sounded to me like it could be both. So I said, well, we're doing a soft record and a hard record. We'll put the Belle and Sebastian one on here and the Nirvana one on there.
And you're going to do that song later today, right?
Yeah.
Of course, right.
But it ended up kind of moving around and became more like the soft one became more like Teenage Fan Club or Nada Surf or something, power pop. And the loud one still sounds like Nirvana one. But, yeah.
You're very free with dropping influences and names, which I like. I've dealt with musicians sometimes who almost will deny any sort of influence whatsoever.
Which is impossible.
Yeah.
It's just that you're being a little too precious when you do that. Everyone is cooking with the same ingredients ultimately, and I think you're just trying to. I remember having an argument with a friend about Elliott Smith, who was a really formative songwriter for me, and my friend said, he's not that great, he just makes stuff that's been around a long time sound like his own. And I was like, so in other words, he's doing the hardest thing there is to do in the world, and he does it effortlessly.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I feel like we all have these influences, you're just trying to you're not reinventing the wheel, you're just trying to like put your own spin on it.
Your own spin on it, of course, right, exactly. You're going to start us off with Now Navigate?
Yeah, that's right.
And before we even start that, I was looking at the lyrics the other night, and there's something very REM-ish about it. You're talking about, actually, let me just look for the line.
Sure.
Let's see. Your line, I can't answer anything honestly without an asterisk, air quotes and double speak, litter the fountain of youth, which reminded me of REM's Where's the Frequency, Kenneth?
Oh, What's the Frequency, Kenneth from Monster? Yeah.
Can you just tell me a little bit about that? I mean, that's a great line, your couplet there. Tell me a bit about that, how that fits in the song, and how true that is.
I mean, I feel like that a lot of my songs thematically are about, it's complicated being a person. It's complicated being consistent, and it's complicated making sense of, I feel like the world kind of throws a lot of contradictory impulse at you, and trying to kind of like figure out, navigate a path through that is disorienting. And I think that most of the people, everyone I know has some aspect of struggling with this kind of stuff, but I think the people I know who are the sanest are the people that make peace with allowing the contradictions to live in their head. Instead of, I can't see anything black and white anymore. Things just aren't that way. My experience is not that way. So I can't answer anything honestly without an asterisk. It's kind of like, it's a little winky maybe, but it's also kind of like a bit tragic to me, because there's always a bit of there's a qualifier with everything.
Yeah.
And but if I'm peaceful with that, then it's okay. But if I try to tell myself that's bad or wrong, or other people know how to do it better than me or something, that's a kind of you're kind of sentencing yourself to a difficult path through your life that way. And air quotes and double speak litter the fountain of youth. Maybe a lot of the dodges and feints and ways you try to figure out your way around it kind of end up, it makes things a little bit less pure, or it makes going back to the source a little harder, or pressing reset. And we're all looking for that sort of magical cure sometimes. It doesn't involve having to do the work, but maybe you have to do the work. the only way out is through.
Let's do the work, play the song,
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
hear what it sounds like.
There are tears as in levels to reality. On the industrial corner of North 17th Street and Wythe, two black public high school kids watch a Nordic model get photographed. To them she is lunar, impossible, alien life. So like a comet might relate to a traffic-stopped taxi cab, or a Bahamas vacation to a stint in Guantanamo Bay. So as access and privilege relate to their absolute opposites, it's the way that these kids and this woman will always relate. And it's nobody's fault. Yeah, no one's to blame. We all work through the dark. We all carry the weight. Slender shoulders and blindfolds, spinning in cycles. Now, navigate. There are tears as in layers to an experience. Through each lens and metric, the image warps every day. I'm either successful, independent, and largely uncompromised, or a non-starter, never was, has been since 2008. And it's nobody's fault. Yeah, no one's to blame. We all work through the dark. We all carry the weight. Slender shoulders and blindfolds, spinning in cycles. Now, navigate. So there are tears as in waterworks, and they're threatening to spoil the negotiated sweetness of my afternoon. I can't answer anything honestly without an asterisk. Air quotes and double speak litter the fountain of youth. But if it's nobody's fault, well then I'm not to blame. I just work in the dark. I just carry the weight. Slender shoulders and blindfolds, we're stranded in cycles. Now, navigate.
That's good. I hear the goddamn band behind you kind of as
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah,
that
they're
too.
around somewhere.
Well, you were, yeah, when you were talking about it, it's like, okay, now I'm going to embellish in my head. As you play that. That sounds great. You know, you've got a song, which I really like, Sick of Words, right? Which I'll ask you the intent, but when I'm listening to it, I found it kind of interesting, maybe a bit ironic. The songwriter, singer, who does a lot with words.
Very verbal.
Would be, yeah, very verbal, right. You've come out of your shell that way, but you're sick of words, or at least in this song you are. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a tongue-in-cheek thing about I am someone who is verbal almost to a fault and processes things very, very, very verbally. Writes a lot to try to make sense of things and talks a lot to try to make sense of things, and the futility of a life spent spilling all of that language and not really ever getting that much closer to the understanding, which is not, that sounds dramatic and almost like something Morrissey would say or something, but I think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny to have this like attachment to language and words and all of these ways you can try to figure out these really like cute and interesting ways to articulate yourself that then you still have the same questions at the end of the day.
Right. The song doesn't solve the problem.
No, the song is kind of a way of poking fun at the problem a little bit. And maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe you only solve the problem in bits and bytes like every day. And then the problem kind of, you wake up with a new one, you know? But
another thing I was thinking about that song was just the idea that maybe what works is the music itself, the instrumentation, not the words. That's sort of another interpretation that maybe that's where you're gaining insight from just the music itself.
Well, it can articulate things that you can't.
Right.
There's an expressiveness to, it's why you like, some people cry when they look at a painting.
Right.
Or, you know, hear a certain tone. You know, instrumental music obviously can be incredibly moving and articulate in a way that you and I could sit here and talk all day and not get at the same feeling, you know. So
there's that in there too.
Yeah, and there's shards of kind of guitar glass in that song that are kind of a way of kind of getting at the like you know, frustration of that.
Switching to the two albums you put out, Bubblegum and Bulldozer.
That's right.
They were both funded by Kickstarter, correct?
Yep.
And you raised a lot more money than you expected to, I believe.
Yeah.
Tell me the story of how that happened.
Well, it took a year for me to get convinced to do it that way. I had a lot of perceptional backlash fear about using a Kickstarter.
Did you think?
Yeah, I'd seen people do it poorly. I'd also seen people do it and maybe had it. People then, the audience then look at them and be like, oh, maybe he's in a really bad spot if he needs to come. Although I do think audience perception of the music industry is obviously changing super dramatically all the time. And I think, those are my fears, that people might look at it and be like, either A, I see this guy like on festivals and clubs and sometimes written about places that like famous musicians are written about. So how come he needs to do one of those? Or B, things must be tough for Kevin if he needs to come to us to make his next record.
Brother, can you spare a dime?
Exactly, alms for the poor. Yeah. And so it took me a long time to wrap my head around that.
What convinced you?
I thought that there was a way to do it that was transparent and in keeping with the general spirit of how I've kind of done everything in my career and communicate directly with the audience about my sort of preconceptions about this or fears about this. And I just wrote a piece that accompanied the Kickstarter that was very plain spoken about all of it. And I also made a commitment that I was going to try to like treat it like seriously and do what was required. Like one thing I didn't want to do is offer these incentives or whatever and have people and then not do things for 2 years or something, because people have done that,
right? Where
you get all this money and then you don't do the work.
Well, that's not good.
No, and I thought, and that's terrible, and that's kind of like career ending to my.
Well, it'd be like coming back again after that and saying, "No, I mean it this time.
Exactly.
I didn't mean it when I cried wolf the first time."
So I wanted to be mindful of that and have a timetable that was firm and commit to executing it.
What
really
was the biggest incentive you offered?
I did a private house show for somebody, a 60-minute, which turned into a 3-hour house show for somebody, and that was the highest ticketed thing. But I really thought, not only that, but once we put it up, I really thought like I couldn't look at it. I pressed publish after like the weeks of sort of vetting you go through, and I left my apartment for 2 hours because I didn't think we were gonna. I thought I was in my world. I was the last person that thought what happened was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We had set it for $50,000 to make 2 records, and we hit that goal in 8 hours. It was a 45-day campaign. I thought maybe we'll eke to 50, and which maybe in some people's music industry terms is modest, but to me, you can make a
record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than make a record.
Right.
We were trying to make 2.
Right.
And what I did find out was when you're like manufacturing, distributing, paying for basically acting as your own record label.
Right.
I was really grateful that we ended up making what we made. All of it got spent. All of it got used. And it enabled me to have this is kind of the last tour for that project. It's now kind of transitioning into these other projects too. But I was able to do an 18-month record cycle totally independently on the backs of this thing.
Were the records recorded separately or at the same?
The Bulldozer was made in March 2013 in LA with a producer named Rob Schnaff. Bubblegum was made April 2013 with Jesse from Brand New and the goddamn band.
What I like is Bubblegum is the harder rocking kind of fuzzed out record,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the Bulldozer's the softer record.
But Bubblegum to me also, those songs are more obvious pop songs in a way.
Oh,
they're
okay.
fuzzier and dirtier, but if you strip them down, they're real verse, chorus, verse songs.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Bulldozer stuff's a little, I don't know, little there's a bit more, there are a few more curveballs on that record.
Put you on the spot. What's your favorite Bubblegum song of all time?
It moves around all the time. As executed on the record, I really love the song Redbird. It's a really different thing for us. Kind of a bit more, I don't know, the word grunge is an embarrassing word. It was an embarrassing word
embarrassing then.
But it has that darkness and kind of dissonance, and it's a bit of a different pace and a bit of a different dynamic is what I mean to say for us. But live, it's really fun to play. And there's a song I love called Private First Class about Chelsea Manning that I felt really got something and got the general spirit of that record. So, but it moves around. I'm bad at favorites.
Let me ask you this. How about historically, in the past, what would be a classic Bubblegum record?
Oh, I thought.
No,
sorry.
actually, it could have gone either way, and that's a good answer. But
classic bubblegum record, like bubblegum pop.
Yeah.
I mean, there's my brain. The radio station in my brain is broken. I think, to me, Teenage Fan Club and Nada Surf. I referenced them already.
Yeah.
They should be to me, Taylor Swift and U2 or something.
Right.
The songs are so accessible and catchy. But that means the radio station in my head stopped working in 1991. But that Bandwagon-esque record by Teenage Fan Club is a great one.
That's a great one.
Shame
Excellent.
About Ray by the Lemonheads is a great one.
Yes,
I consider those to be bubblegum pop records.
And that's in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a negative in your world.
No, hell no.
No, hell no. You wouldn't have called an album that.
I mean,
if you
I
meant
feel
that.
like I'm still trying to write those records now.
Yeah.
So those people were big influences.
Well, I grew up with the Raspberries and the Sweet and bands like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I had to
right
kind
on.
of apologetically tell my friends,
No,
it's bubblegum.
no apologizing for that. That's right on.
Let's go to a couple of more songs.
Sure.
You got what's coming up? What do you?
I think we're going to do She Can See Me, and speaking of Nada Surf,
Oh yeah.
we're doing a split single series over the course of the next year, and the first one's with Matthew Cause from Nada Surf. So I'm going to play his song, Inside of Love.
Great.
So
Go for it.
all right.
Try to do it, but I don't. She says you like it, but I won't. I guess they aren't even close. I got a feeling and I know. Maybe it matters, but at most I try to hide it and I won't. 'Cause she can see. She can see. Whoa, oh, whoa. The future's sleeping in my throat. I wanna wake it, but I won't. 'Cause she can see. She can see. Whoa, oh. Try to do it, but I don't. She says you like it, but I won't. I guess they aren't even close. I got a feeling tonight she can see. She can see. She can see me. Watching terrible TV kills all thought. I'm getting spacier than an astronaut. Making out with people I hardly know or like. I can't believe what I do. Late at night, I wanna know what it's like on the inside of love. Standing at the gates and I see the beauty above. Only when we get to see the aerial view will the pattern show, and we'll know what to do. And I know the last page so well, I can't read the first, and so I just don't start. It's getting worse. I wanna know what it's like on the inside of love. Standing at the gates and I see the beauty above. I wanna know what it's like on the inside of love. I can't find my way in. I try again and again. I'm on the outside of love, and always under or above. I can't find my way in. I try again and again, and I'm on be alright. Just had a bad night. I had a bad night. No.
It's a beautiful song. Very,
Can take no credit for that.
I was going to say, very sweet, bittersweet, all kinds of things in there.
Yeah, I love that song.
Is that a song you wish you'd written?
Yeah.
I figured that's probably why you chose it, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of songs like that, but that's one of them. He's got a good dozen, Matthew. That
Was
I
it a
wish I wrote.
hard choice to make?
No, that's one of my favorite songs ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually remember like exactly where I was when I heard that song. That's one of those moments.
How old is the song?
2002, I think that record came out. 13 years. Yeah.
So it's been with you that long?
Actually, I probably heard it in like 2005. I kind of. They had a really popular song called "Popular," Not a Surf. That was like their one kind of top 40 song in the mid 90s. And then their career kind of took all these weird, like divergent paths, and it kind of got lost in the major label shuffle for a little while. But then they rebuilt their career as this independent band, and they have made so much more interesting music since then. And that record was, I kind of lost track of him, and then I heard that a few years after that record had come out and fell in love.
What song did they pick of yours to do?
He did a song of mine from Bubblegum called Fiscal Cliff.
Oh, yes.
Kind of a, yeah.
Now, that's a real rocker on your record, I think.
He turned it into this beautiful kind of, sounds like Peter, Paul, and Mary or something. Yeah.
Wow. And do you like
I love it.
Do you like it? Yes, and probably
Hearing
you do.
his voice sing the words was like, oh my God. Because he's become a friend, but I'm a fan. So hearing him do it was just like a pretty big thrill for me.
That's pretty cool.
Treat. Yeah.
Now, just tell people a little bit about what this series is, the 7-inch thing that you're doing. It's every couple of months?
Yeah, so starting this month, every 2 months for the rest of the year. And this is the first volume of it. We'll probably do this on and off throughout my career. But it's different partner every 2 months, limited run of split like 45s, 7-inch single.
7-inch.
Yep. And then they'll be available digitally too, the two songs. But I have this thing where I kind of sit at these weird cross sections of like indie rock, punk rock, folk, singer-songwriter, emo, pop. There's all these different, and I've never been like brand identified enough to be any one of them. It's always been, and which has been something that was not necessarily by design. It's just the way I write.
Right.
I think it's made marketing my music hell for the people whose jobs that is. But I've met all these different people that are so interesting and make such compelling music from all these different parts of the music world. I thought it would be cool to do a split single series where you reflect that a bit.
So will the next one be more?
The first three partners we know, and the first one's Matthew, and Matthew's like, there's also a blend of like people who I listened to, people who are peers, and people who I think kind of came up listening to my music and my peers' music. So the second one's with, there's this woman, Meredith Graves. She sings in a band called Perfect Pussy. They're a punk rock band from Brooklyn. And she's really like brave, formidable performer. Like I think her stuff is very cool. And she's way more in the kind of punk world. And so she's the second partner. And then a Pennsylvania indie rock punk band called Tiger's Jaw. That's really great. And the three of them kind of hold different, they're like different points on the map. So to have them be the first three partners is exciting to me.
So will they be doing, and will you be doing acoustic versions too, or these be rocked up stuff?
It depends. Each time is different.
Yeah.
Like the first thing with Matthew, it's pretty acoustic. We covered each other. Meredith and I both wrote new songs. And mine is pretty gentle. Hers is pretty, there's a gentility in it, but there's some abrasive instrumental stuff on hers. And I think for Tiger's Jaw, we're both going to do full band stuff, but I think we're both going to cover the same artist.
Oh.
Which we haven't announced yet.
No,
so,
no,
but yeah,
cool.
and then there's three more partners lined up for the back half of the year.
Great.
So
That's good. I want to ask you a little bit. I don't think you've done anything here terrifically political, but I know you do political songs.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about where you're coming from that way and how you weave politics into song. It's a difficult art.
I guess there's an aspect of some of the social justice stuff in parts of Now Navigate.
Yeah,
There's some glancing references to like gentrification and what it's like to live in Brooklyn sometimes, but and writ large, obviously bigger than that.
Yeah.
But I only really write about social justice issues if I'm moved to do it. I don't feel like it's like the responsibility of the artist or whatever, although it would be nice to hear more people do it than do. And I tend to write about them the same way I write about songs that are about relationships or more personal, philosophical, emotional, landscape stuff, which is, try to approach it with some empathy, try to approach it situationally, and try to write and not sloganeer. Politics aren't super interesting to me, but social justice is.
Right.
And so this, the song about Chelsea Manning and on Bubblegum, and that was something that came out of like being moved. I understand the political ramifications of that situation, and I have members of my family that wholeheartedly disagree with me about this, and friends. But to me, I thought it took a lot of courage to say, I don't think this is the direction our country should be going in. I don't think people know what's actually happening on the ground here in their name with their tax dollars, and I do. I'm seeing it, so I'm going to show people at great personal expense.
Right.
That moved me. That moved me because I don't think I would do something like that. No. I don't know many people that would.
Right.
And and I thought those are the kinds of things that I think deserve to get written about and written about with humanity.
Did you listen to Billy Bragg at all?
I like Billy Bragg.
I was going to say that you remind me here of Billy, not in voice, very different voice.
I think I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Righteous, smart, committed dude.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is. He's been. He's funny sometimes because he gets on. Sometimes, if you've seen him live, he'll get on a political platform, which is just his nature. You can't help it.
Yeah.
And there are people in the audience who will yell, "Billy, we're with you. We get it. Play a song."
Yeah. Well, and I've had people. I've put out probably 130 songs over these 8 records and Bad Books records and my old band Miracle of '86, but there's probably 10 or 12 of them that explicitly deal with issues of social justice.
Sure.
But there are people who don't like me at all because I do that.
Really?
So
well,
that's fine. They'll be able to find plenty of other musicians who don't.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
Exactly. Well, we've got one more song to go. It's kind of a country-ish song, isn't it?
Yeah,
a matter of time.
It is. So I like. I also like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and I grew up with some of that stuff too, and grew into some of that stuff too. So, and it's kind of a love song. I don't write many straight ones, and so when they happen, I try to just get out of the way.
I can go for it.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say goodbye, and then we'll send it off with the
My pleasure.
song.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Sullivan. I've been your host here today for Boston Rock Talk with Kevin Devine, who is going to now play us out here at the Sinclair with A Matter of Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sunday was short and slow and lovely. We slept in past noon, woke up, made coffee, and somewhere between the sheets and shower, we talked about the son and daughter that we don't have, but imagined at our side. Well, it's only a matter of time. Some days my love grows disenchanted, but so much she gives I take for granted. But I'm well aware that she's my compass, the strawberry sun, all grace and sweetness. But when I forget, when it somehow slips my mind, It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time till I break the blinders fastened to my eyes, and I can see you. Well, it's only a matter of time. And I found the truth inside the pattern of furious sound and ceaseless clatter, the peace in the painful search for meaning. You are the myth made real this evening, and a million more before the clocks unwind. Well, it's only a matter of time. Well, it's only